welcome to episode 367 of Retro Encounter, RPGFan's weekly podcast of many topics. I'm Mike Salbato, which, as we've heard in other podcasts, is not the Mike that you're used to. I'm really just stealing Solosi's intro, because when he does Rhythm Encounter, he says something like that. So, yes, Solosi's not here for this one, but I am here, and today we are going to do some co-op farming.
Yay!
So, yeah. So I think it'll be a fun one. No. We're not being cowboys. Although actually sometimes.
What if I'm interested in livestock?
Okay, yeah. Never mind. Go ahead. Do your yeehaw.
Yeah.
Now that we've heard from a couple of them, with me today on our farming panel is Hilary.
Hi.
And Greg.
Hello.
And Dom.
Hello.
So a bunch of us wanted to do farming. We had as many as 6 people who almost came in on this one, but that would have been way too much. So I'm glad that we have the 4 of us here. I think it'll be fun. We've all
Too
played
many farmers in the field.
We've all played a different selection. Yes. A different lineup of farming games. So I think it should be a good conversation. Greg actually is the one who, Greg's actually the one who suggested the general structure for this. I think it was a great idea. So we're basically going to go through 3 phases this episode here. 3 seasons, maybe. Maybe we should have had a 4th. But we're going to talk about what planted the seed of our love for farming games, how it grew, which is basically like what we came to like and like some of our favorites and what we're playing now, possibly. And then what do we want next? I should have had you rewrite that. What do we want next? Some sort of harvest metaphor. That's what I wanted next, Greg, was a harvest metaphor in that 3rd one.
Yes.
So yeah, let's start a little bit like what got us into the genre to begin with. So let's go with Hilary first.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'd always seen like tiny bits of gameplay of kind of some of the older Harvest Moons here and there, but never really got into it, even though I love cute things, love the idea of, growing things, raising animals. That all is of interest to me. But I didn't actually really get into a farming game until Harvest Moon Save the Homeland.
That's the PS2 one, right?
That's a choice.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
We'll get into that.
But we had fun with it. I actually had a friend who was a long-term Harvest Moon player in college, and she played it with me. And I don't know if I should share the story now or wait.
Yeah, I mean, if that's at your first game, it's relevant. So.
Okay, and she had like our entire college floor following the saga of Klazark the chicken. Because she tried to name her first. She tried to name her first chicken Clark, and somehow typoed to a Z, which I'm still not sure how that happened. So he was Klazark, and everyone on our floor adored him. But then somehow she was playing for a while, got really focused on something else. I think it was like gaining friendship with one of the townspeople, because she was actually kind of behind like time wise, and Save the Homeland has like a pretty strict time schedule, and basically like the town's going to get destroyed for a theme park if you don't finish it. So like it feels high stakes. So she got invested in that. Didn't pay enough attention to Klazark the chicken.
Oh no.
Klazark got sick and died. And
Oh no.
No.
Riots in the campus.
Yep. Our floor made her go back and like redo a bunch of her progress so that Klazark would live.
I mean, thank goodness she had an older save file.
I know.
Oh, poor Klazark.
It was okay.
She time traveled to save his life.
She did. So that was my early experience with farming games.
So what? And Greg, I'm guessing you have some insight here, 'cause I did not play Save the Homeland. Like before we get into your games, like what's the deal with that one? Like why is that a choice?
Well, I guess Save the Homeland, it's like one of those games in the series where it was making the jump into new technology, new look. It looks great for what it was on the PS2, so it was very exciting to get into this new 3D world of exploring Harvest Moon. Because I don't think it was before whatchamacallit on the GameCube, which just got remastered. Somebody
Rune Factory.
No, not Rune Factory. The other Harvest. It's another Harvest Moon. Wonderful Life. I
Oh,
think
that one. Yeah.
I think it came before Wonderful Life, didn't it? I don't know my timeline.
There's so many. Yeah.
Yes, there are, and it's obviously the whole Story of Seasons debacle, and switch over to that, and what Harvest Moon is now. Anyway, so it was very exciting, and I remember my best friend Pat rented it because we were both kind of into the Harvest Moon stuff, and he'd been playing it for a bit, and I came over, and I had a really great run with it because it was the first one I think where you actually had to like befriend your horse, like you had to go to like a ranch and like get to know the horses at the ranch, and then eventually one of them would really like you and you could take it home. He was very mad at me because inside of like 2 weeks in game I had a horse, and he was still playing like 3 months deep into the game and hadn't gotten a horse.
Oh no.
So he coined me the Harvest Moon Master at that point. But my big problem is it just felt really like they cheaped out on a lot of stuff because it was, I think, more story driven. Like Hilary was saying, like you have to save the homeland, as the title implies, and there's a lot of different story threads to do that, but it eschewed a lot of what made Harvest Moon great in terms of like getting married and the different seasons and such like that, with just some new stuff they were trying. Like there was no winter. I was so mad. I got to winter and it was just all rain. It was like winter in Vancouver, and that was it. And it was so disappointing.
No snow at all.
No, it was
so
the weirdest choice. I was so mad, and I don't know if it was just a technological limitation that maybe the particle effects overwhelmed the PS2.
They were like,
what.
we don't want
I
to deal
don't
with
know.
this.
Yeah, I have no idea. So there was that, and
they got to the end of development and were like, we forgot about snow.
Sluggish.
Snow's not in the budget.
Right? It's just we're in a tropical place. You know, I don't know what their excuse was.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, the story, it felt like more simple little vignettes with the story kind of thing, which they were kind of cute, but it was, you would like complete a little story beat and then be like, that was it. And then go back and kind of just start trying to complete endings was what it was about. And I remember one of them, like I was like, oh sweet, I got all the things. I'm going to marry the girl that my character likes. It's going to be great. And it was just like part of a story beat. And you did the thing that you needed, but you give it to another guy so he can propose to her. And you're like, but I've been romancing this person the whole time, I thought. And then I discovered that marriage isn't a thing in the game. So there was that. Wow. So they took out that and like the character.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it that a lot of people don't like.
Ooh.
But since it was an early experience for me, like I didn't quite know what to expect.
Yeah, you weren't comparing it.
That's it, right? So as a first time, that's not too bad, to be frank, because there's nowhere to go but up, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for veterans, it was a bit of a just letdown of a game.
Why can't I get married?
Partly, I mean, that's why some people like it. You know, you have your whole fantasy little farming life in there, and it is a relationship sim as much as it is a farming sim. And when they take that kind of core part out, and the farming was pretty simple, like they didn't have a really broad swath of crops or anything either. So it just felt like a very rudimentary version of the game, kind of like a first Pokemon on any system kind of thing, where it's just very scaled back and trying new things, but other things don't work very well. And
and the frame
that
rate
sort of explains it.
3. Yeah,
but it is still a worthwhile experience.
The first Pokemon game. Anyway, ignore me. Nothing. Just throwing shade at Scarlet and Violet. Okay.
No
so where did you actually start then, Greg?
I started a friend's sleepover on the Nintendo 64, so I didn't know about Harvest Moon on the Super Nintendo at all. But I remember a friend of mine, he had rented Harvest Moon 64. I can't remember if he also rented Tactics at the same time on the PlayStation.
Oh my gosh.
If that was 2 separate occasions, because he was responsible for my exposure to both of those games. And I can't remember if they were the same occasion or 2 separate. But I remember he got Harvest Moon and he was enjoying it. And he's like, yeah, these games are great. And I was like, farming. What is this stupidity? Okay, I'll try it. Cut to 4 a.m. and I'm still playing. And like, you know, in the middle of like fall or something by that point. And I was hooked. And that was Harvest Moon 64, which is also the same as Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town. Sorry. Or whatever it is. Or is it Story of Seasons? No, sorry. Mincing topics or the titles.
Is Friends of Mineral Town is a remake of 64?
Not quite. They're very weird because the Friends of Mineral Town or whatever was the PlayStation version of this, basically the same game. It used all the same assets, but a completely different town layout. So I don't know which came first or why things were built differently. I didn't obviously go that deep into Wikipedia or such, but yeah, it was the same idea. So I remember later on I bought my own Harvest Moon, which was the Friends of Mineral Town or whatever version back in the day. And was like, this is the same thing, but different, weird. Okay, cool. So after playing a bunch of 64, I never had a 64. I was hooked on the game and went out to just try and find my own version of it and spent much time on Friends of Mineral Town until I was moving and dropped it and stepped on the CD by accident because it slipped off the top of the pile of stuff I was carrying and I didn't have time to stop before I crunched it. Yeah, so that was devastating and took a long time. An ex-girlfriend did buy me a very expensive version that someone was selling. But then I had all on my memory card, but my memory card is a multi-page memory card from the back in the day. So you switch between the pages. It would no longer switch between the pages, so I couldn't get to my save file.
No.
Yeah, so it was sad days. I tried everything, tried to find ways that we could. I'm like, modern technology must have a way for me to like buy some sort of something and fix it. There wasn't, so I lost all my progress. It was a sad time, but now we have the remake Story of Seasons, Friend of Mineral Town, which is the same but different, just much more cutesy looking, and so I've been playing a lot of that now. But because of that, I still haven't really actually I've never finished a Harvest Moon Story of Seasons farming sim game because they're just big time commitments. But that definitely set me back a bit.
Yeah. Well, also there's the argument of what constitutes as finishing it.
Also true, yes. Yeah, do you finish the story, or is it, are you making a huge farming agricultural machine that just makes you thousands of dollars? Like,
do you stop at a certain amount of money?
Yeah.
No. Oh, sorry.
There's no roof.
But yes,
none. So that's what got me into it. I was very much counter farming sims. I thought it was a stupid way to spend my time, and here I am many years later, many games under my belt, and I love them.
Yeah, I'm with you. How'd you get started, Don?
Well, I'm kind of a late bloomer. My friend way back in, well, not way back, but like in 2017 or so, my friend was like, "Oh, this cool new, well, not new at that point, but this cool, you want to play Stardew Valley with me? It's kind of cool. We could do something together." And I was like, whatever, sure. It's on sale on Steam anyways. So I started and we played together. And the actual like co-op farm that we started, that was just like for 3 hours or so. That like we never like went back to revisit that farm. My friend went off to play something else after just a couple sessions together. But me, I was first like drawn into just like fishing because I was still very much into traditional RPGs at that point. Well, not traditional, but like more like action oriented RPGs. And I remember I wanted to get one of the weapons you get from fishing, which is the Neptune's Glaive. And I never got it, but I got my fishing up to 10. And I was like, okay, at this point, I might as well see what else the game has to offer. And yeah, many Excel spreadsheets of my farm layout, and then trying to min-max my wine production for profit later. And I'm still playing the game. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I respect all that. I've also never got that sword, and I have tried.
In the wiki at that point, I remember reading it was like a 5% drop rate. So I was like, how hard can this be? But it turned out to be pretty hard. I got all the legendary fish in the meantime.
That's a lot.
I got all the legendary fish in the meantime, but still not the Neptune's Glaive. So
wow. And at that point, you're probably so far in where it's not even really a good weapon anymore.
Yeah.
But you just want to have it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, one day, I believe you will get it.
Starting from there, and then I haven't really branched out too much, but I do have I'm much more interested in the genre since then.
So I started with the first Harvest Moon, although I have to admit that was a long time ago, so I don't remember a lot of the details. I recall it actually had an ending, but I don't. Again, it's been so long since I played. I don't know if you could still play after the ending. Mm-hmm. But I think that was kind of an odd thing, like looking back now, because we don't think of these games as having endings anymore. Mm-mm.
But there's usually like a story ending of like, you've successfully done the thing of, making your grandfather's farm successful or whatever. Because like some of them have that caveat of like, oh, welcome to the town, but you better have a good farm and not be useless or we're going to kick you out.
Yeah. We're going to give you a performance review in a couple of years.
Right.
I think that's usually what it is. But anyways, Carrie.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where I started, and I liked it. And it's kind of weird that I didn't really stick with it after that. I'm pretty sure that I played 64 at least a little bit. I don't think I stuck with it for a very long time, and really, really none others for the longest time. And I don't know why. I know all about Harvest Moon because, of course, most of the time between that and when I got back into it, I was at RPGFan. So, every 4 or 5 months when another one would come out in Japan or would be re-released, like, hey, now you can play as a girl. And now, I don't know, it's on Game Boy Color instead of Game Boy. There's so many of them. So I followed them and I knew about them. And I was like, I liked seeing like, okay, here's how they're expanding it. Now there's more animals and more crops. But it wasn't actually until Stardew Valley that I really got back into it. And even then, like, I had heard about it. We had a review on the site. One of our former news people was like really, really excited about it. And he reviewed it when it came out on PC and loved it. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it looks cool, but I still didn't get into it until it came out on Switch. I don't know why that was when I decided to try. And boy, so now I have four or five farms, depending on how you look at it. Because I like trying the different layouts. So I have my main one on Switch. I have one on my computer, and I have another one on my PC where I've used like the extended, like a fan mod that expands the town and adds more players or adds more characters. Yeah, I really like Stardew.
It's one I still haven't gotten into, but yeah.
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
I also have a farm on my phone. That was one of my later ones. And of course, Hilary and we have a co-op farm as well.
It is.
Yes, I know. Like I said, there's a bunch of them. I was getting to them. And
do
then
they link it all, like from your phone to the Switch and or Steam or whatever, or is it separate versions for each?
I think the mobile one can import or somehow do something with the data from the Steam one. I haven't done it.
Gotcha.
I think there is some kind of connection there, but I don't think it's like a cloud sync where you can just pick up from where you left off kind of thing. So yeah. And then, that over the years, he's released a couple more farm layouts. So I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta try another one and try this layout. I think my phone one was one of the ones I definitely tried to be an overachiever on, because I'm like, you know what? I want to see if I can get as much of I mean, I know there's people out there that are way better than me, but I don't usually play these games like that. But I was like, I wonder if I can get this much of the community center done and actually progress like a relationship enough to get married to someone by the end of year one. And I did do it on the phone one, which is probably not that hard of a thing to do, but whatever. That was one of the goals I set for myself.
And that makes it fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, that's where I started. A little bit of Harvest Moon and then Stardew, and now a large chunk of my Steam wish list is farming games.
I mean, I've tried going back to the original Harvest Moon when I started getting into emulators and such, because at that point I don't think I even had the PS version yet. So I was craving that farm life, and I was like, oh, I'll try this one, and I think it was just too much of a shift that I just found it a bit too clunky. And like there's the farm is huge that they give you right off the get-go, so it's so much to manage as well. So that is a bit overwhelming, and it's just a bit. I think they made in 64 and the PS1 version, they just made the town a little tighter. Like everything was just a bit quicker to get to. There weren't so many like big loading screens and stretches in between, and like everything was a bit more compact. But I don't know. I think it was a big issue too. I think. I mean, I've since watched some playthroughs of the original, and it's fun in its way. It definitely, you see where it came from. It's pretty impressive.
So who wants to go next for our phase 2 here? Like, what did you go on to play? Like, what are some of your favorites? What are you playing now, kind of thing?
Have any of you ever stopped playing Stardew?
No.
No.
A lot of this segment is probably going to be Stardew if we want to just continue on with that.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, it really depends on who you're talking to and where you go online. I'm not. I have definitely seen some attitudes like on social media in some places where like some people don't like that Stardew is put up on the pedestal that it's put on, but there's a reason that is as popular as it is. And
there is, yeah.
And it's like, I don't know where they're coming from, because usually those kind of comments don't have much weight behind them, or like
it seems like you're just trying to be obtuse for the sake of being obtuse.
Yeah, and maybe I think it's that, but also sometimes it could be people that are like, well, Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons, whatever it is. It's like, they started it, like that's the important one. It's like, yeah, but I think they kind of kept the formula the same for a very long time, and I think Stardew did some things different that made it more inclusive amongst many other things that it did. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, and
the more inclusive story seems to be a big thing.
And the developers like never. He's like, yes, that's where the inspiration came from. He's not claiming to have invented the genre, but I think he did something.
He has refined it.
He's refined it in a way that they weren't really doing in a lot of the main games, which I think has happened since, because you see the games now, and they stopped doing things where there's like a boy version and a girl version, and they've made it so you can play more the way you would want, whoever you are. So I know that's not the only thing Stardew did differently, but I think for me that was always something that stood out to me.
You'd never say that Stardew is a Harvest Moon clone.
No,
not at all. It's but you can see the roots. Well, I mean, let me because I think you all have more experience, or you all actually have experience with Stardew, whereas I don't. So I'll kind of go with where I've kind of gone, since I haven't gone down that road, and I've played a bunch of other stuff, both on my own and thanks to exposure through RPGFan, through reviews and such. Yeah. I mean, Harvest Moon was my thing, and like I said, I got into the Friends of Minnowtown version on my PlayStation and spent many hours on that. One of the biggest travesties was dropping $30K, I think, on building in-game money, not real life. Sorry, it's just in farm bucks, we'll say. Spending 30,000 farm bucks on buying a greenhouse was one of the biggest things you can kind of achieve in that game, because then it lets you grow summer crops all year round. And like pineapples are one of like the hot commodities in like Harvest Moon 64 and then Friends of Minnowtown, but you really only get one, maybe two harvests if you're lucky, because of how long they take to grow. So it's like not a huge return on your investment, but it's great. So having the greenhouse, you just get to grow those all year round and you start making bank. But then a hurricane hit, like one of those days where, I don't know if they have them in Stardew, but they have them in Harvest Moon all the time, or not all the time, but every once in a while, where you have to stay in, you just lose the day.
Just constant hurricanes.
Well, it's just like, it just says like there's a really bad storm, you can't leave your house, so you just lose a whole day of farming, and you'll come out sometimes and a few crops will be gone because the storm was so bad. Like one or two or three kind of thing. But this one destroyed my greenhouse.
Oh my god!
So
that was terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was so mad. I was like, that is a thing? F you, Harvest Moon. So that was a travesty. And I think that's partly where I put it down for a bit. And then, of course, when I cracked my disc, that added to the blow.
Wait, do you have to spend another $30K to fix it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have had to buy it again and regrow the crops that were in it. It was awful. I was like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, not only is it the greenhouse, but depending on what you had growing in there, that's like an entire harvest.
And I'm guessing this is like a standard like farming game too, where like it auto saves overnight, right? So like you can't like well, I'm going to reload my save and see if I can get that to not happen.
Yeah, it was back in the day where you had the option to save when you went to sleep, I think, but you couldn't save anywhere like you can nowadays. Yeah. But obviously you usually save because you're like, well, why not? But little did you know, that was going to happen, kind of thing. And it was devastating. I mean, I'm sure I could have reloaded or something, or maybe I had another save file. I have no idea, but it was a pretty harsh penalty. And maybe I was just being altruistic, like, oh, I just have to go with it. This is just have to deal with it. I don't remember. But anyways, from there, I don't think I really shook up anything with Harvest Moon or farming sims until, I did save the homeland, and that was a big letdown, but still, it was fun enough. And then I played Story of Seasons, I keep saying the wrong damn thing, A Wonderful Life on the GameCube, or they had a PS2 port, which was like essentially a better version. And I think that was one of the first ones where you could also be a girl. I want to say the A Wonderful Life, the PlayStation port.
Okay.
I feel like that's when Harvest Moon finally had that, because they used to kind of have like a. I feel like they had it on maybe it was on the GBA as well. They had a version. They had like a girl version. Like they didn't have it like you could choose either or. There was the boy version and the girl version. It was like a weird Pokemon thing.
Yeah, which I think after when they did it once, I'm like, okay, that's cool. They released it later, and like you can play this way too. But when they kept doing it, like every game was like, oh, by the way, we just thought of this, and it's like, okay, we know what you're doing. You're just milking it now.
Yeah, right. So it's
Yeah.
it was just kind of its thing. But A Wonderful Life was cool. It just suffered from huge frame rate drops because that was probably one of the biggest Harvest Moons in a long time. Like there was a lot going on in that place. The farm was huge. You had I think there was different areas you could choose to. I want to say, I can't remember. You had a couple different farm types you could choose or something. And
nice.
just lots of great options with the dating. The town was cool, but yeah, it was pushing both the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 a lot. But it was fun, and it was probably one of the biggest ones that I enjoyed. I just never got around to buying it, but I had rented it and played tons of time with it. And then I tried out Rune Factory for the first time on the DS, and I was like, you can fight now, and you can like tame your animals. That's super cool. That's such a nice change to the formula, and I loved it. I thought that was revelatory for the genre. Like they had that you could go do the farming relationship same sim thing and just keep it, but this had cool RPG combat and more grinding and equipment generation, and you could craft weapons, and like it was a really cool new way to shake up the monotony of wake up, water crops, harvest crops, talk to your date of choice, and then go home to bed or whatever, and maybe trigger some events if you're lucky.
No, I was just going to agree with you. That was kind of eye-opening, and I think maybe part of the reason I was interested to try Stardew is because I heard that Stardew also had, the mines and some combat.
Mm-hmm. That's partly why I wanted to talk about the Rune Factory transition into them bringing that more to a traditional Harvest Moon kind of like.
I appreciate that balance, though.
Yeah,
it makes
and the mining and stuff too.
Something like Rune Factory, I don't know, it just makes the world feel a little bit more dynamic when you can choose to either like spend your time farming, exploring, fighting.
Right.
Now, do you find Stardew Valley, I think popularity grew because Harvest Moon was taking a bit of a nosedive. I mean, I missed that jump where Story of Seasons was Harvest Moon for a little bit, until, of course, enough scuttlebutt and conversation came up between the community on RPGFan with the other people who are a bit more in the know than I am. And like, oh, right, Marvelous. They're the ones who are really doing the great job of the quote-unquote Harvest Moon thing, and now Story of Seasons. And whereas, like, I think there's that Lighthouse of Hope or whatever, and then from there on out, like, Harvest Moon has just kind of looked subpar and samey and, like, mobile-friendly, whereas Story of Seasons was doing better things, and I enjoyed that a lot, too. I have the first one on the DS, and it's pretty great. More of the same Harvest Moon sort of stuff, but just expanded. But I wonder if like the decline of Harvest Moon, and I would also maybe say the popularity of Minecraft and the whole crafting and building and stuff, do you feel that played a part in maybe Stardew's success as well, incorporating also like the Rune Factory elements?
I don't know. I mean, you mentioned Harvest Moon, but like even at the time, Rune Factory was dormant. I mean, Rune Factory was, as far as anyone knew, was just dead until they...
Yeah, because that happened after Frontier, right? After Rune Factory Frontier is when Stardew came out.
Yeah, and like because the development, the developer, the company, like disbanded or went bankrupt or whatever, right? I think that was Neverland.
It's such a shame.
Yeah, I mean, now we have like remakes of 3 and 4, and we got 5, but for a long time it just was assumed that the series was over. So yeah, I mean that might be part of it.
The vacuum.
Not just the vacuum, like, but I think that there was something there that like no one else, most developers weren't doing. I'm not saying there were no farming sims during that time, because there were still some.
There was some stuff, happening, but definitely, still and I think it's also a happy marriage of like Western and anime sensibilities, like whereas you can clearly see the Japanese influence in Harvest Moon over the years, and especially Rune Factory was anime AF. But crawling up to a whale island and to save your anime waifu. But it's I wonder if also the Western influence possibly helped. I don't know where the game is more popular. Like, does it have a big following in Japan, or is it mostly Western audiences with Stardew?
Its influence is pretty widespread. I mean, here in Korea, Even
yeah.
like the people talk about the farming, like people talk about Steam games. I mean, people don't really play PC games here that often, let alone like Steam games, because they all just go to PC cafes to play multiplayer stuff. But people talk a lot about Animal Crossing on the Switch, and for Steam, they do talk about Stardew Valley a lot. So I think its influence is pretty
I know it's been
widespread.
translated into many languages.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe not as popular as it is in the West, but it's what, like, everyone knows it here as well. So
Oh, that says something.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
sorry, I
I think
didn't
part
want to
of
put
its
you Stardew
popularity,
fans on the spot.
you know,
No, it's
part
okay.
of its popularity is probably just because it's like even like just like straight up 1.0 on release. It was just a super tightly written game,
Mm-hmm.
and it was super tightly written, and at the same time, I was honestly surprised as well when playing, at like how in depth you could go with the game. Like you could just coast by and just feel like, very like, just do never engage in combat, just like very lightly engage in mining, and you could still get by fine. You could just ignore fishing altogether as well if you really wanted to. But if you wanted to dig into those individual, subsystems, and like like they have like the stats for like combat and fishing. If you wanted to dig into each one of those, I was surprised at like how how in depth those systems as well were, which is, I feel, was another big appeal, because
Mm-hmm.
you could, if you just wanted to do combat, yeah, you might die in the mines a lot, but that was still an avenue for you. And there were a lot of very funny high level strategies for going very deep into the mines.
Mm-hmm.
So, such as like, getting hopped up on coffee and having a whole stack of salad in your inventory, and then just bombing everything like a madman.
Yep. And then crab cakes.
Yeah.
That's
And then
okay. That's
and then it's
funny.
like, oh, you don't worry about like getting out of the mines. You just faint, and you just take the loss on money, but you keep your resources. So I was like, like those kind of, I feel, the more a game can allow you to just like have those kind of like really wacky but still very like efficient strategies, I feel it is a testament to like how
Mm-hmm.
flexibly it's like designed overall,
Nice.
and the different
Yeah.
players it can accommodate as well.
Yeah, it accommodates so many different, and I think that's part of why it does well with multiplayer too, because it
Hmm.
does accommodate like those different play styles. Like I know when Mike and I play together, uh, there's a little bit of a difference. I wander around. I mess with the townspeople. I search in trash cans for food.
I mean, that's important.
It is,
Though people
On,
call you out on
Character
that.
raccoon.
but you're the one making progress. You're like, okay, this is what we need to do for our farm, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a cake.
that's see the pro. See, sometimes I wish that wasn't the case, because my problem was, by the time you and I started doing that, I had been playing the game and had like a high level farms. Like that was just, I graduated, well, for better or for worse. Like that's how I ended up playing. Like, yes, I got to be efficient now. It's like I got to make, check out the layout of this and put these things over here and fill up the greenhouse with the right kind of fruit and do all the stuffs. And like I'm not trying exactly to translate that to a co-op farm.
No, it ended up being a really cool blend, actually.
Yeah.
Well, you
And I
get to
learned a
explore.
lot about how to play the game because I have a solo farm too. So I learned a lot about how to play the game from that experience.
Mhm.
Well, that's pretty cool because like they haven't really like Story of Seasons. The first one tried to do a little bit of like a multiplayer aspect in terms of they had crop tours, is what they called
Oh.
it. I remember my cousin, he got it in Ontario, and we did it a couple times. But really, it's pretty much like the Animal Crossing like Dream Village visits. Like they just kind of come and visit your farm and kind of look around, but you don't get to farm together or do anything. They just kind of get to come and see what you did, because in Story of Seasons you were able to customize your farm for the first time, which you couldn't really do in the other ones. So you could kind of adjust the layout of where things went, which was pretty cool, and probably what started setting that apart from Harvest Moon. And so I think that was really the only appeal. You come and see, like, what has so and so done? Like in Animal Crossing, what did they do with their town? What have they done with their farm? And that was
Which
the extent
villagers
of
do
it.
they have? Oh wait.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So whereas with Stardew, being able to like actually farm together is like fantastic, and what I always wanted from Harvest Moon.
Mhm.
And one of the appeals of Stardew for me, except I have the guilt of I have so many Harvest Moon farms that I have yet to finish. I don't want to get lost in this new experience that I know will consume my life as it has most of my friends.
Yeah, no, you should just play this one.
Join us.
I mean, but that's interesting though, because I haven't stuck with Harvest Moon story seasons. I didn't know if they ever got into co-op and stuff, and I think that's another thing that helps Stardew's like lasting impression and why it's so popular. It's like that you have this one person. I mean, I know some other people are involved, but generally Stardew is made by one person, and like. The fact that he did this and built this game that's so like Dom said, like felt complete early on, and then he just adds to it. He's like, oh yes, well now there's multiplayer, and it's multiplayer on different platforms.
The clothes,
not cross-platform, but
the
clothes. Yes, you can make clothes. There's a sewing machine, but like
they actually have that in story seasons now too. Finally,
but like he built this co-op thing and then did this big expansion a couple years ago, and for a while Chucklefish was publishing and now he self-publishes, so like it's all just his own thing now. And I'm like, and the game is, what is it, 20? It's either $20 or $25, so it's like it's not even close to a full price game and never has been. And then when you get it, when it's on sale on Steam, you can get it for probably less than 10. So it's like you get so much. It's one of those things where like I've gotten so much out of it now. I felt the same way with To the Moon, because I got To the Moon so many years ago on sale for like $2, and later on I'm like, that was too good of an experience for $2. I wish I had paid full price. When he added the expansion with the new island and all these other things you can do, I'm like, as comment sections on the internet can be, even when that came out, I saw people like posting, it's like, hey, can we like, is there any way we can like pay you for an expansion or a sequel or something? It's like,
donate.
You give us. He does so much, and like, and you don't. He doesn't charge for anything else.
Of his life too.
Yeah. So I mean,
the history of it came out not too like I don't know if there's a biography or it's part of like one of those gaming tome biographies, but just how like it's one of those like momentous indie games like Minecraft and Undertale and then of course Stardew, that it just exploded in popularity in a way probably that developer never could have imagined, and has now probably since done well from them. But that's, again, also what cost in the forefront. Like his mental health suffered, his physical health suffered, his relationships suffered, didn't they, leading up to its completion. But now I guess the rearview mirror, was it worth it? Apparently, because he keeps wanting to make stuff, so that's fantastic.
But every once in a while, when I'm in the eShop on my Switch, I'm like, oh, let's see what the top games are, and Stardew is still there.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes it's still number one. It's still number one.
Still also very prevalent on
things
Steam
that are coming
charts. Yeah, and like one of Stardew's longevity as well is just how transparent he is about like everything that's happening. He's like, oh, this isn't working out as intended. We were expecting. We're probably going to have to delay this. And I remember also like what was it? It was like was it like a multiplayer thing for the Switch or something that was rolling out later than intended? And he was like, I claim like the development team has nothing to do with this. He's like, I claim full responsibility. I was like, I didn't plan this out well. And like it's like that kind of thing. I feel that also really adds to the image of, wow, this is like a game I can get behind. I can continue to support. The developer is like super into it, and he understands the game. He understands what we want. He understands that transparency is important, and I feel like that's
he seems
like
to
also,
want to do it.
Yeah, and it's like one of the reasons for its longevity as well, I feel.
Oh yeah, I mean the last big patch just came out on mobile like not too long ago, and it had some bugs because it's a major thing, and I'm sure it's trickier to do on that platform versus others. So, I mean, there was a new. I always check my app store for updates, and like there was a new patch almost every day for like at least a week. So he was like just actively like working on that and supporting that, and I don't know. I mean, I'm just really impressed by that.
And that's a completely different beast from, again, what Story of Seasons, Rune Factory, all of them become, where they're like standalone like packages. They're just what they are. They're not even, they could nowadays decide like, hey, we remastered Friends of Mineral Town. It's everything you know and love. You can have same-sex marriages. We've, added a few little quality of life things, but like they could also suddenly be like, now we've made DLC because they completely redid the engine. So I don't see why they couldn't, but they aren't. They aren't going to do that because they're working on umpteen other standalone story projects or whatever within that world, right? So that's something that's pretty brilliant about that game as well. And I guess it's modding capability too. I think there's a thing too for that, right?
Yep. Yeah. A lot of mod support for it.
Do your work, Clint. I think it's my favorite one.
Do you want to explain that one?
So that the blacksmith closes annoyingly early.
On certain days, right?
And he isn't open on certain days in traditional Stardew Valley. So someone invented a mod called Do Your Work, Clint, that allows you to get your tools, like visit the blacksmith at better times. Yeah.
That's nice. That's just that's a funny thing. I always wonder about those decisions. Yeah, like I always hate that too when I go even in Harvest Moon or other things where you go in and you're like, oh crap, they're closed today, but I really want my axe.
The exercise class in Stardew Valley is the bane of my existence.
Oh yeah. I'm going to go do all these things. It's Tuesday.
5 of the townspeople are doing jazzercise.
Yeah.
Why?
That's incredible.
But at the same time, you're like, how mad can you get that all these women do this?
And they're also happy. They're like, yay, we're being healthy. So, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Let's just go to the mine or something.
Yeah.
Better than them. Yeah. I guess it kind of pushes you to other things. Oh, that's what I was going to say. When you were saying how, Dom, that the game is very flexible in what it lets you do. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, Rune Factory Frontier, Hilary, you might be able to speak to this a bit. I mean, you definitely need to like do a little bit of combat and stuff for certain things because like you can't go into the mines and get the materials you need to upgrade your equipment without being down there and they have monsters in them. So combat is a part of it. You can't just dodge it, unfortunately.
You can't right.
Yeah.
You have to engage with most of the systems at least a little bit.
Yeah.
There is a little bit like you can kind of choose some degree, but
how heavily you want to invest your time into it, I guess.
Exactly. But you have to advance other things.
Mm-hmm. But I also like they did make that neat thing, at least in Rune Factory Frontier, a kind of an answer to the greenhouse kind of thing, where each of the dungeon is like aspected to a season, so you can grow crops in there. It's just a bit time consuming to have to go in and go to those places to do that, but at least you get like all year round those crops. So I thought that was kind of a novel way to try and change up the system a bit.
Yeah, it's like a slightly different way of handling it.
Mm-hmm. So again, like most of you, have any of you done a lot with any other games outside of Stardew? I mean, Mike, you've spoken about that Coral Island game that you did a bit.
Oh boy, I have. Yes, actually, I want to do one last little thing on Stardew, just because you mentioned earlier. I forgot about things like storms and all that in Harvest Moon. That actually is not something Stardew does. It doesn't have like disasters or storms. It does. Well, it has one thing. It has one thing, which every once in a while a meteor can fall on your farm.
Wait, actually, I don't think I've had that happen to me.
Really? Yeah, I've had it. Well, we had it in our farm, right?
It's in our chicken coop.
It's in our chicken coop. I have it on 1 or 2 of my farms. Yeah, it's one of those random events. But
there are a couple others.
It's one of the ways you can get iridium if your tool is capable of breaking it open. And I did that. Like the first time I got it, I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I better upgrade my pickaxe so I can break this open and see what's inside. And I got some material I didn't have otherwise.
Or
that's pretty cool.
You can do what we did for a co-op farm and just leave it as a cool decoration.
Well, that's what I did, because in my main farm, I've played long enough. I'm in like year 5 now. Like another one did hit somewhere, and you can't move it. So I'm just like, I'll just build around it. So now it's like just this this thing on my farm. It's like, oh yeah, well there's my meteor over there.
Actually, you have
the chickens.
You have some supernatural stuff happen too. You can have monsters. I know there's at least one farm layout where like mine monsters show up.
Yeah.
On your farm at night.
Gwen has told me about like you can build like basically Tesla towers or whatever. Like it becomes kind of a tower defense game almost.
Well, there's lightning rods, so you can like.
Zap
that's what it is.
Yeah, you can store lightning from storms and you get batteries. So you're building your own batteries. Yeah.
And then,
there's the witch.
Yep.
Sometimes the witch will come and turn one of your chicken eggs black, so you can get yourself a void chicken, which is really important.
What does a void chicken do?
It's black and it lays void eggs, which can be turned into
void mayonnaise
instead of regular mayonnaise.
Does it turn you inside out? Like,
which no one likes.
No,
except Krobus.
It says the description is that it tastes like burnt hair, so you don't want to eat it, but it's worth a lot more than regular mayonnaise.
It is, and there's a certain
why if nobody likes it?
There's a certain fantastical character.
Yes,
who does.
There is a character who lives in the sewers who really likes it. So
they're completely supporting the economy of it.
Yes,
yeah, exactly. And that's another thing I kind of wanted to bring up, like something that a lot of these games that we're talking about have in common are those slight fantastical elements, which I always really like.
Yeah,
yes, you're farming, but Harvest Moon has the harvest goddess and her little assistants,
which were so bad in the PlayStation version, but they've definitely improved the AI in the new one.
Right. I remember the harvest goddess lady in Save the Homeland. I was really jealous of her rainbow hair.
It's so good, and that's one of the best, I think, portrayals ever so far that I've seen. Like, I actually enjoyed interacting with her and how they did that part, at least, of things in Save the Homeland. And that you could choose your dog. I thought that was kind of cool too. That was pretty novel.
Very important.
There was 2 different dogs that you could befriend.
That's actually something they added to Stardew Valley. Like there was one look for the dog and the cat, so you could choose dog or cat for a while. But then they added a few different looks for each of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I think they did in Friends of Mineral Town, the Story of Seasons remake, because the title screen keeps showing the main character wandering with different animals, like a capybara, a penguin. Different types of cats, different types of dogs. I'm like, are these things that you can just eventually befriend throughout the wilderness and they become like your pets? Like, I haven't done much cursory looking at it because I initially played the game for video review coverage for the site, and I've since gone back to it because I've been craving it. But I haven't looked into that. And I'm very curious how expansive the pet management system is now.
Yeah, I'd be curious. That sounds cool.
I need a capybara.
It's really cute looking.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So yes, Coral Island. I've had my eye on a lot of these games. Coral Island is one that has actually come out, or it's in early access at least.
Right.
And I played it last fall to do like a preview for the site, but it was a Kickstarter thing. It was a Kickstarter last year, by the way, like early 2022, and by October they actually had like I don't know if they called it alpha, but it's at least playable. As early accessors, and it's surprisingly good for something that was just being kickstarted a year ago. It's definitely not done. I mean, I said this in my preview, and even now, like a few months later, it's not done. But they didn't say it was done. It definitely takes some inspiration from Stardew. I think they're slightly getting away from that with some other updates. Like there were some things where I'm like on the 5th day is when you get access to the mines, which is about when you get access to it in Stardew, and like you get a furnace and you have to like smelt some copper bars. I'm like, all right, like that's a very specific thing, but it's like certain things I'm like, okay, you didn't really have to do this like on the same day, and you get the same recipe from the blacksmith and you have a quest to do the same thing. But like the setting is different. Like it's on this tropical island, and it also has the plot thread of like evil corporation moves in and you're trying to like restore the island to prove that like you don't need them, kind of thing.
Right.
Right.
But in this case, I like it that it has that. I'm sorry.
It's got more kind of like a conservation message, though.
It's a conservation message, and like the idea was when you get to the island, like there was an oil spill like years ago, so it's like you can see it all over the island, and it's like it's ruined the ocean floor around the island. And it's the same company that moves in because like the island hasn't been very prosperous since then, and they're like they wanted to like just clear out the town and like turn it into like an oil drilling place, even though they're the ones that messed it up in the first place. So it's a little different, and I'm all for driving them out of town. So I like that angle of it. And so yeah, like it has mining, and it has you upgrade your tools, and there's a lot of similar things that we're used to in other games, but the setting is great. I mean, the cast is very, very diverse. It's huge. Like the cast is gigantic. Some you can date, some you can't. You know, there's, you know, one of the girls you can, I think you can have a relationship with her. I don't remember. Like she has a kid. Like, you know, they have, these characters have lives. They're not just all like a town full of single people like waiting for you to meet them. There's a bunch of kids in town.
And then if you don't, they default to somebody else.
Yeah, right.
Whether or not you want them to.
Yeah,
sometimes
there's skill trees, which I think is neat. Like as you level up your abilities, like you would in Stardew, like at a certain point you get abilities, but you get to choose them. And
that's cool.
And they're pretty cool. Like, I mean, some of your early ones are like a 10 or 20% chance of your crops like staying watered, so you don't have to water them the next day. And
so handy.
yeah, they seem like a really nice boost for the point in the game you were at.
Yeah, and like sometimes you'll get like double crops or double ores or something like that. So it's relieves some of the tedium if you're trying to like, you know, go into the mines and stuff.
Speaking of, I can also attest to it in real life. How much do we love rain days?
Oh, so much.
Right? And again, in real life in Vancouver in the summer when we usually have a bigger, sunnier season, and it does finally rain, I'm just like, oh, sweet. I don't have to water the garden today. That just saved me half an hour.
Exactly. Yeah. So rain days are helpful.
But that's a nice, that seems like it's doing enough to be its own thing.
Yeah. And like, even though there's some things that you're used to where you're like, okay, well, I can make this little machine that'll like turn this resource into another resource. You can load up multiple things in them. I mean, I love Stardew, but like when I saw this, I'm like, oh wait, you can just put like 10 things in this one furnace instead of having to have 10 furnaces. That was actually really smart of them.
Yeah. And I really liked watching you explore the ocean. That's a very cool part of it.
Yeah, like so you have the mines you can go on, but then you also go under the ocean and you can get resources there. But really what you're doing is swimming around and like trying to clean it up because it's like covered in trash. And you have to find these little beacon things that like clean like a certain like radius around them. So there's a whole sub quest of going through and cleaning up the ocean. And as you go through it, like you start meeting things like there's a sea turtle that you have to give a certain item to get past.
It's like Trash Bear from Stardew.
It's like Trash Bear from Stardew, yes. And like there is going eventually, there's like a kingdom of like mer people down there, which aren't in the game yet. But like they're built like it's this whole other town down there. So they're really ambitious what they're doing with it. As of now,
which you'd have to be, I'd say, with how inundated the genre is.
Yeah, like as of now, like as we record this, like I think one of my biggest problems with it, and I get it, it's not done yet. The underwater area doesn't have a map yet, so it's very easy to get lost down there. So I look forward to whenever it comes up on their roadmap that gets a map. That'll be very nice. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. Like if you like farming stuff, it's whether it's worth $25 to you or not, given that the story I think ends at the end of the first year. Like you can keep playing, but there's no more plot yet, and it's a work in progress. I think it's going to be really, really good. The way they've been developing it, releasing updates. I think by the time they're done, it'll be a really worthwhile game.
And they've been pretty communicative too, right?
Yeah. Actually, there's an update coming out in the next few weeks with another bunch of things like community requests, quality of life updates. So yeah. But yeah, I'm talking a lot, so someone else should go about what they're playing now or current favorites.
Yeah. Aside from Stardew.
I guess I could talk about one of the games I reviewed for the site last year, and I kind of go back to every now and then is Moonglow Bay.
Oh yeah, how is that? I've been curious.
Like, when I played it, it was still very buggy, like extremely buggy. But they fixed it a bit now. It's still, I wouldn't say it still needs a couple of patches, I feel, to really be a full-on recommend. But yeah, it's kind of similar to Coral Island that Mike talked about in that it is there's no like real evil corporation this time around, but it's basically a fishing village, but there was a great disaster at sea a couple of years ago, and since then everyone's been too afraid to go out to the sea to fish. So naturally, as a result of that, like the town has been in a state of disarray. Like everything, since no one's earning money, everything is disheveled. The beaches are dirty. There are a lot of or like the town hall is super decrepit, and your job basically is to go out there and fish, and then kind of single-handedly revitalize the economy, which is a
no pressure.
which is a big ask, but you can do
Is
it.
The the unspoken sequel to White Squall? It's really sad they lost George Clooney and Matt Damon. Was Ben Affleck in that too? I can't remember.
Don't know.
I don't know. You're the actor.
Fair.
Don't you know every actor
I
my
do
gosh.
know
and what they've all been in?
all the
Obviously,
time.
it's a
I am
requirement.
IMDb.
It's a requirement.
But
Just
sorry, Dom, you were saying.
just like playing all 100 top IGN RPGs. It's a requirement
Yes.
to be on the RPG fan staff. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm done.
But yeah, I think one of the reasons I liked the game a lot was because I enjoyed fishing a lot in Stardew, which I know is kind of one of the more controversial aspects of it.
I like it
I'm with
too.
you. I like it.
Yeah, but I know people are like, "Oh my god, the legendary fish are such a pain." And like the whole.
Yep.
I understand. I know the pain of like losing.
And it's an easy gimmick to get wrong too. Some games just make a really bland mini game out of it.
Yeah, of losing more than a couple of legendary fishing catches. But Moongo Bay is like very relaxed. I'd say almost too relaxed. And that a lot of the mechanics that they added to like make the fishing more interesting kind of don't matter because of how easy it is overall. But it was still a fun experience, and I liked how the fishing is like expanded upon so that now you can like cook the fish properly instead of just putting it into the box to be sold for a lot of money. You can cook the fish, you can and some townspeople have like requests. They're like, "Oh, can you cook this for me? Can you cook that for me?" And you can fulfill those requests. And I think I just like how it naturally expanded upon fishing in a way that I feel makes sense, and in a way that was very enjoyable with the mini games that they had for cooking.
Right,
And
fish.
the music is fantastic in the game.
I was about to say that soundtrack is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah, just fish sitting in your inventory boxes or chests just never really made a lot of sense to me.
No.
Yeah, and I like one of the things I like as well is how there's like the background track is the same, but depending on like which building you go in, like the ambiance changes.
Oh, I
So
love
you-
when they do
Mhm.
that.
So if you go into like the tech store, it's like the soundtrack starts like bleep blooping, and if you're outside, it's more just like relaxed, and you can hear the wind, I think, and yeah, stuff like that, and yeah, that keeps me coming back to the game despite it still being almost a bit frustratingly buggy at times, but
I think that's an underrated thing. Like
Yeah.
only so many games do that. Like I'm not sure if that counts as a dynamic soundtrack, but I didn't know that. Like I've listened to the soundtrack a lot, but since I haven't played the game, I didn't know how that worked in context. So I think that's great.
mm-hmm.
It's a nice touch.
Mhm.
Makes
Yeah.
each building feel more personal.
Hmm. This isn't the most important thing, but given the origins of a lot of characters in these sim games, who is your character in Moonglow Bay, like in relation to the island and the residents?
You were like the spouse of you were just like a normal like fishing couple, I think, but like your spouse unfortunately was the victim of the great disaster that
Oh,
happened.
okay.
Aw.
And yeah, the game starts off with so because of that, no one wants to go out to fish, you yourself included, but your daughter who went to college comes back, and she's like, we need to get this town up and running again. And I think she actually like, did she finish college and come back? I'm not sure if she finished college and came back or she like left midway, but like either way, it's a big motivator for you to get up and start fishing again. And at first everyone's like, oh, why would you ever go out there? It's so dangerous. Don't you remember what happened? But yeah, and as you play the game, the townspeople become more and more welcoming to you. They're like, oh, I can't believe you've helped us so much with this. And a lot of the a lot of the fears people had about the oceans, you actually like end up solving them. They're mostly kind of sort of like misunderstandings. For instance, there's like a whale, and I think that's been scaring the townspeople somewhat with its like with like spooky noises. But when you go there, it turns out that the whale has been like it's been stuck on like a harpoon. So
Oh
you have
no.
to so you end up going around and you free it, and it's stuff like that is like throughout the game. Although sometimes it is a bit strange because a lot of these points are like marked as like boss fights, so the whale will like struggle at first, and you kind of have to like avoid its attacks and stuff. But
That's interesting.
yeah, but it wasn't
Working that in.
it wasn't too it was it like it seems a bit weird in retrospect, but when you're playing the game, it's perfectly like, oh, I guess this is just what I have to do now. It doesn't feel too out of place.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I was just curious. Like, I don't really mind how many of them are like, hey, your grandpa left you this farm or this fishing boat.
Yeah,
but it's
so
nice.
many of
It's nice
those.
when they do something different.
Yeah.
I can speak to one of my favorite versions of that now was one of the more recent ones I did, which was for the site, but I ended up loving a lot, is Oubliettes, which had been following its development for ages, and was so glad it finally came out. But you're basically just like fed up with just life. I guess it's similar-ish to Stardew, where you're just like, I'm over the humdrum life of this. I want to go to this island with all these wacky creatures on it. So you just decide to go, and then you show up, and then the mayor's like, oh, hey, well, I conveniently have this farm lot of, like, it does a lot of winking to the fourth wall. It knows what it's doing, and conveniently this is here, and our town's kind of in shambles. So, if you want to help out, we wouldn't say no, kind of thing. And they just give you this crappy house. I'm like, oh, it's not great, but, can't blame, can't be mad at free. And that's kind of where you go from there, and its weird hipster way that it does.
Yeah, but you liked it a lot, right?
You definitely made it sound entertaining and worth
It
buying in the
is.
review.
Yeah, if anyone is curious, Oubliettes is probably one of my favorite farming sims I've done, because I've reviewed a couple different things for the site or been partial part of it for video review capture and stuff, and some have been better than others. I did Kitaria Fables, the preview we got of that way back when, and it was lackluster, kind of more focused on the combat aspect than the farming aspect. The farming, I think, is there as a vehicle to generate some income and I think help you upgrade your stuff, but it's more focused on the combat, and it's pretty rote otherwise, so it really wasn't that exciting. I think the biggest draw there was the prospect of multiplayer, but you can't farm multiplayer, if I recall reading correctly. I haven't progressed it far enough to know, but I just thought it'd be a fun one for Gwen maybe to get into, because it's cats, she loves them and this and that, but it just didn't really strike. Whereas, yeah, when I got into Oubliettes, like its flavor is super fun. Again, it knows what it's doing. It's doing some winks at the genre as a whole, but and at corporate America and all that is kind of its overarching theme. But the biggest thing that stands out in that one is it does have a quote unquote combat of sorts, but you get oubliettes, which are kind of these little plant creatures that you can grow in your farm as long as you have the space for them, because they need room obviously to live. So you need to give them little houses, and that expands the amount of population you can have. And they're all a bunch of different ones, kind of like Pokemon. And there's iterations of each of them that are different colors based on rarity, and even a sparkly shiny one that has a fun rainbow trail behind it, and they sparkle, and they're super pretty and fun. And you just, on a given day, it tells you what oubliettes are around, and they have different conditions in which you can interact with them. But then once you interact with the oubliettes or with other people at the dance barn, you do dance battles. And that was probably my favorite thing to kind of shake up the rhythm of a farming game, is the fact that you get to do this card-based game of dance battles.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, that's not really a mashup you see.
No, and it was I'd kind of put it on the back burner and didn't really watch much of the progress. So I was actually completely surprised by it when I started playing it, and I just loved it because each oublet brings their own cards, quote unquote, to the deck, and they get one every few levels, so they get 3, and it kind of freshens up your generic deck, so you can start building fun strategies for certain dances and stuff. And when you know what you're up against, sometimes you can try and counter that. Like, oh, this type of ooblet steals lots of points, so I'm going to get something that blocks that or stuns them, or something that generates just so many points that they can never keep up, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be really, really fun to kind of compound that. And I found it was sometimes a bit easy, but every once in a while, like, it would really throw me for a loop. The story itself is fun. You kind of can see where it's going, but not like to have at least a sufficient enough twist. I was like, oh, okay, cool. At the end, and the characters are all super quirky and interesting, and generally have enough new things going on. Like, usually every day you're kind of progressing like an individual story with each character, which I thought was nice too. Because so many of the Harvest Moon games, like, once you've reached like the next relationship hurdle, they kind of say the same thing every day until you reach the next relationship hurdle, and so on. So it gets very monotonous and mind numbing. I don't know. Yeah. I can't speak to Stardew for that, if they have more to it or not.
A little bit. I've definitely played some other games that are very bad about that. Stardew is more diverse, I think.
That's good.
There's enough dialogue that doesn't feel too samey.
Okay, that's good.
And enough changes that happen throughout the year, and like enough diverse systems that you can choose different things to do versus like the mines or fishing or.
And that helps. But
you have enough different villagers to take to the movies.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And Mike, I think you've played a bit of Potion Permit, which isn't per se.
I was wondering if that
it's like an off kilter. It's almost Farming Sim, but not.
I was when you were done talking about ooblets, I was going to ask, because I know you and I have played it, and unfortunately for Hilary, she's experienced me playing it.
Do tell. I'll let you go. Even though I reviewed it.
I think it's a fine game. It's okay. I don't think it was done. I think it has it has the start of a lot of good ideas. I feel like every person in town has like 2 sentences they say until like you hit the next friendship level, and I feel like even when you get to a higher friendship level, there's really not much there. A lot of the characters, for that. The dialogue and the relationships just feel very shallow.
I was gonna say, I remember multiple instances of you pointing out or like coming to me and being like, well, wait a minute, they were just saying this to me, but now they're back being mean to me because
like there
character or whatever.
There are cutscenes and things that will play out that you would think are based on your friendship level, but they aren't. So you have this little kid that's like just treating you like garbage. But then you also do a quest where he's like, hey, you're all right. Thanks for all the help. And then like I finish the quest, and then I talk to him again. And he's like, I don't care about you. Get out of my face. Like, oh,
we're back. Okay.
Yeah. And it's I don't. The overall way the plot plays out, it's like, the idea was these people are all wronged by a chemist from the big city.
And that is kind of like, it's an interesting enough angle, like that, at least that way you go on expecting them to be mean to you at first.
I know, but everyone treats you like crap. I mean, you have to be...
You're the goodest heartedest person ever.
Yeah, and only a couple people are like even see it, but most of them are like, until you like nearly max out your friendship, they just are like, I don't trust you at all. You stay away from me. Also help me with this and help me with this. But also I hate you. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Eventually you feel welcomed, and like the if you can call it an ending, like it's all right. But
but I'm going to be honest, that doesn't sound like something you would put up with for very long.
No. I mean, it was $20, and I didn't stick with it too much because like the resource gathering is incredibly tedious because you can only get so much in a day, and the fact that they have so many resources and materials, and I'm sorry, Hilary and Greg, you've both heard this from me a lot. There are dozens of materials, and the potion brewing is actually kind of cool because it's like a puzzle where you have to fit the pieces together and brew your potions. The problem for me was to upgrade your house and your clinic and also your health and all of your tools, and every upgrade and every piece of furniture you buy, all of them use wood and stone and money. So you have this game full of resources, but you have 2.
Everything requires
the same 2, and you can only get so much in a day. So I'm like, that I think was really, really not balanced.
I think you and Greg both mentioned that.
Well, yeah, because like every time you need more, like every new tier of things is like it gets to the point where you need thousands of each one. So like you would go out and just like, okay, I'm gonna chop down just the big trees because the small ones you take so much stamina they're not worth it. So I'm gonna go cut down like the 6 trees that exist in this entire world and go to bed. And then just do it again for like 5 more days because otherwise I'll never have the material for this.
Yeah, because at the more advanced areas where you can get to the bigger trees that give you more resources back, which is eventually it kind of shortens the loop incredibly, but they require wood and stone and gold to unlock those areas. So until you get that and the better equipment to do it faster and more efficiently, it's just such a horrible grind. But once you have all the different regions unlocked, it does sing, but it's just, I mean, and I get I get it. Like if you're not trying to gun through it for review and maybe you can take your time, maybe it's a bit better. But like you were saying too, Mike, and what kind of got us into Potion Permit is the relationship aspect. Like it drags a bit in that regard, and I think they try to hide it with a lot of the fairly well triggered, structured conversations, and the amount of events that happen kind of makes it feel like it's flowing forward a bit more than it is. And when they work, I don't know if you ever ran into any of those glitches, but I had a few glitches where it would be like placeholder text here, where something didn't load right, where I could tell there was something, or they would start loading the conversation like 3 chat bubbles too late. And I was like, well, that seems like it would have been a response to what that person said a few seconds ago, but clearly it didn't load right. I'm confused. Like it seemed like it was just a bit too, like you said, not finished, too complex for its own level of polish. So like there was a lot of that kind of was a bit janky, but I think the interesting events did kind of help it. But yeah, the overall grind of the game was weird. And again, it's not quite a farming sim because you never actually do farm. You farm quote unquote in the terms of you go out and like harvest materials in the wild.
It's a foraging.
It's more foraging sim.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I would like for them. I don't know if they have plans on continuing to update it.
I do hope they balance
it sounds like they could improve it a lot.
Really
so
cool.
I kind of hope they do.
I think they have a really good base for it.
Yeah, I agree. But I'd say between the two, Ooblets was the much more fun, interesting farm sim to play, just because it is doing so much more different than with the genre. Like the farming is there, like, and you don't necessarily have you have to engage in the dance battles for certain story points here and there, but you don't have to go hardcore ooblet collecting if you don't want to. You don't have to like make the biggest farm if you don't want to. You don't have to sell your goods if you don't want to.
So that's almost like Stardew in that respect.
Yeah. So aside from like the few actual plot points, like you really can kind of do anything, but every once in a while you have to do the odd fetch quest for the storyline and whatnot. But it's really doesn't really require you to do much else, so you can approach the game as you will, which I thought was really fun. And they've made their own thing. It's not just yet another game where I'm harvesting tomatoes in summer. Like they've got their own level of produce that's all kind of weird, and you can craft your own food and stuff like that and sell that stuff. You can go and as I heard about Stardew, it's definitely to your benefit to chug, lattes all day and keep your energy up and keep running through the day after you've harvested all your spring beans and put them in your little espresso machine and made your own coffee, which you can sell back to the coffee shop.
Oh, nice.
Rude. That's
just
hilarious.
go supply them.
Yeah.
After her whole thing is how she can barely afford to have the coffee shop. I'm like, why are you buying it from me then?
Right.
Anyways, it's very sweet, and but I think I liked that about it most is that each character you can see a progression in the storyline. Like after you've kind of done like the story progression, quote unquote, conversations, they will have a couple just kind of locked and loaded responses, but almost every day you'll get a unique pair of conversation topics from them that progresses forward. That I talked to you yesterday and now this is a continuation of that. Oh, cool. So I thought that was really novel, and I wish which might dovetail into what you want to talk about next. I wish more games start to do moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you need to go. I'm sorry.
No. You all hit on something really important, I think, about the genre in general, is that a lot of people play these games for the farming, but also for that social aspect. So I think it's really key that at least makes sense and is stimulating.
Yeah.
You know, the progression of your relationships with the townspeople, or the, you know, the variety in what they say.
Yeah. No, that
All
is
that stuff
important.
has to be set and have a good foundation.
Right. I mean, this has generally been a positive podcast, but like the one thing that like really got me and Greg about Potion Permit is it didn't get there with that. So like that, it didn't grab us. But these other games that we talk about, like I adore so much of the cast in Stardew, even if the scientist doesn't appreciate a dinosaur egg, but that's a topic for another day.
Really, you want to bring that up?
Yes, I want to bring it up. I want to bring it up that you can discover a dinosaur egg and give it to the town scientist.
I was super excited. For anyone who's played Stardew, you'll know who I'm talking about. I got really excited when I had an extra dinosaur egg, and I was like, I'm going to give this directly to Demetrius, and he's going to study it, and he's going to explain to me why Stardew Valley has dinosaurs in it. It's going to be great. I gave it to him. Ugh, what is this?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I hate eggs.
But you give him a strawberry and he's like, "Oh, this is fantastic. What a great specimen."
It's like, what kind of scientist are you that you don't want to study an actual living dinosaur egg?
Yeah.
I don't understand. That's okay though. Because it was amusing.
Greg talking about the coffee, I just had this horrible thought that if I lived like my Stardew farmer, I would be dead. I mean, if I worked on the farm and ran into the mines and ran out into this island until like 2 a.m. every night, and also my diet was exclusively, if I woke up every morning, literally ate a stack of crab cakes and just chugged like 3 or 4 triple shot espressos, and that was all I ate and drank for the entire day, I would be dead in a week.
Just
yeah.
Not even considering the food or anything, just all the physical labor would probably kill me.
Yeah. Water? No. I need more coffee before this buff wears off.
Well, it's so interesting with these games. Kimberly Wallace, who I never got to work with at RPGFan, but she did work at RPGFan back in the day. What site did she go? Was it GameSpot? What did she
Game Informer.
Game Informer. And I was still kind of following her and all that stuff, and she wrote a beautiful article not long after she went to Game Informer about farming sims and the appeal of them, and kind of that harkening back to the pastoral. And I think I brought it up before on the podcast on Random and stuff when I've talked about farming sims. But just that appeal that people have, which we all, I think, heavily experienced during the pandemic too, of that idea to escape this suburban nightmare we were all stuck in, an urban nightmare so many of us are stuck in, to go to a simpler pastoral life, which is the appeal of these farming sims, I would argue. But at the same time, if we all farmed actually like those, it just, yeah, like you said, we'd all be dead trying to like stay up all night to farm and everything. And also, like, they don't, I mean, I'm sure Farming Simulator is a whole different thing, because it's a more true to life game franchise thing. But if we were actually properly like planting in spring, and then you're just kind of sitting around watering throughout the summer and harvesting a few of your quicker crops that might go, like, it doesn't, the fact that every season just has its set crops, as opposed to like, I kind of like, I plant my tomatoes indoors in like March, and then I move them outside in June, and then I finally might start getting to harvest them in July or August if it's warm enough, like you don't get to your tomatoes in 7 days.
No.
But obviously they got to gamify it, so I get that. But it is interesting that we are drawn. So many people are drawn to this genre for one way or another, one reason or another. But it's also a very incredibly skewed version of what it's actually like to do any of those actual activities.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Which we obviously have no delusions about, but it is just funny when you take a step back to look at it.
Yeah. What's up, Hilary?
I was gonna say, is it bad if I want to ask who everybody married in Stardew?
I can only answer Harvest Moon, but by all means, please do.
Okay. We should go first then.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I married Maru.
Yeah.
In Stardew.
Why Maru? For someone who doesn't play Stardew, what attracted you to Maru? Who are they? Describe them as you would.
She's basically kind of the engineer character. She's the scientist, the biologist's daughter.
Yeah.
And
okay, I see
she makes robots, she tinkers. She's very handy, and she's adorable. And her cutscenes are like star watching and fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, very cute.
Yeah. And she builds things, and I don't know why she finds like plates of fried mushrooms in with her like work materials, but sometimes she does, and she gives them to me.
Oh, if I may tack on to your question, Hilary, too,
Yeah.
do you all play as yourselves, or do you play as like, do you have like a a character persona that you use in all RPGs or just in farming sims, for example?
I just kind of came up with something on the fly. I mean,
Okay.
mine kind of vaguely looks like me, at least the hair,
Gotcha.
but no set persona.
Well, I do. I landed on my character name for Tess many years ago on when I played World of Warcraft, and I carried that over to Final Fantasy 14. And now, basically, if I can create a character in a game, they are going to be female, and they're going to be named some variation of Tess or Tessara or something. And I have this weird this vague like headcanon, and I'm like, you know what? These could all be the same character. This is just
like it.
Another life. Maybe it's another reality, or maybe she had this farm and then went on to Eorzea. I don't know. It entertains me. So.
Amazing.
But most important
is Animal Crossing.
Yes, I mean my Animal Crossing character is also named Tess. Tess founded Tim Curry Island.
It's the best island.
Yeah, and maybe they're all the same character. I mean, more practically, it also means I don't have to think too hard about a name every time I start a game.
Right.
But, yeah.
I do just love the hero of Avalon and founder of and mayor of Tim Curry.
His flag is what? No.
My flag in
Alone,
Animal
right?
Crossing is Tim Curry from Home Alone.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Which I use some app to like kind of sort of digitize it, but I still painted over the pixels myself to like make it look proper. So yeah, I was very proud. I'm very proud of Tim Curry Island.
Rightly so.
How about you, Dom?
Well, my first character is usually me to some extent, but then I usually have multiple characters, and those are I usually just, or if there's a random button, I just press random and just go with what the randomizer gives me.
That's fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Always a good time.
So wait, you didn't answer my question.
Who'd you marry?
Oh
Who'd you
yeah,
marry?
well Greg like steamrolled over you and like threw another question in. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that was my bad.
Yeah, that's
fine.
okay. So I know
Sorry.
I know now. I guess it's a typical answer, but I married Abigail because she has a Super Nintendo, and that's my kind of girl.
And a guinea pig, and she
And a
plays the
guinea-
flute.
And a guinea pig, and she also wants to adventure and not do typical girly things. So, and also has a mother with bright green hair who says things like, "Oh, that's not her real hair color. I think that's kind of weird." I'm like, "Lady, your hair looks like seaweed." I like Caroline, but it's such a weird thing to say. It's like your hair isn't actually green
Why are
either.
you saying that?
That's the hill she wants to die on.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so I married Abigail in one farm. I married Emily in another. I'm working on Leah on a third farm. I think that's as far as I'm going to go with it. What about you, Dom? Or you live the single life and just shack up with Grovis?
Yeah, that's a valid option too.
Yeah.
No, I married Penny my first time through. And
Oh.
Okay.
the only reason for this is because Penny loves sandfish, and I just happen to have a lot of sandfish.
I had
They
no
make
idea.
this the easiest to woo.
You're like, I can make this happen.
I didn't know she
I
liked
am
sandfish.
pragmatic. So
Yeah.
I was going through a fishing spree, and I just happened to have a ton of sandfish. Like, is there anyone who actually likes this?
All
I
right.
just happened to be there. So
Oh my
Conversely,
gosh.
in Potion Permit, the person who likes fishing stuff is actually, I thought, would be pretty easy to win over, but then became one of the hardest to win over, because they have some fishing related quests that require you to become a master fisher. Thus, you have to unlock the master fishing rods, and it was a lot longer an investment than I thought it was going to.
Yep. It took
But it
me.
paid off because she's pretty cool. But
I think half my time playing the game was slowly working on that one quest.
also, when like your options are like someone my age someone kind of my age and teenagers. I'm
That
gonna go for the
yeah.
one my age.
When we're discussing problems with potion permit, that's probably a very big one.
I could not wrap my head around the fact that the mayor's daughter was romanceable. I'm like, hold on. Are you even saying she's 18? Because she acts like she's 13. And that's not working for me.
Also, your assistant's indoor, which is another weird level of something. But
yes.
But yes, that's funny.
I didn't pick Abigail because of the practicality, but it turns out that she likes a lot of gemstones. Like she likes amethyst, I presumably because it's the color of her hair, and also she likes eating quartz for some reason.
This is delicious.
Yeah, okay. I've actually never figured out if that's a bug in the dialogue because if you give characters food, they'll be like, "Oh, this looks delicious." But for some reason, with her, if you give her quartz, she also says it looks delicious. And
she also said that when I gave her a sunflower.
Okay, yeah,
she's really into the seeds.
Maybe she'll make
so.
Seeds. It's fine.
I will say, I again did not marry her for this reason, but it is convenient that there is like a machine you can make that every day will create a copy of whatever gemstone you put in. Well, depending on how rare it is. And she likes amethyst. So I definitely have one of those machines in the bedroom that generates an amethyst every day that I give to her. She's probably tired of them by now, but she says she likes them. If I did that to you, you would be like, all right, can you get me something else tomorrow, please? Can you just get me a coffee or some sushi?
Also, please take the machine out of the bedroom.
It's very loud and I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Also, our closet's full of amethyst.
Yes.
Oh gosh, just open it. Our aura is so clean now.
Right.
Amethyst is so pretty, though. I mean, they put it in Minecraft, and it's lovely as well. You get these cool little geodes; they're really awesome. I mean, again, I didn't play Stardew, but I'm kind of similar to Dom in a way. Through Harvest Moon 64 into Save the Homeland, where you can relate. I liked Potpourri, although I don't think her name was Potpourri in Save the Homeland, but the pink-haired flower girl was her thing. Which also again threw me off as well because her family owned like the seed flower shop in Harvest Moon 64, whereas in Story of Friends of Mineral Town they own the chicken farm. So it was a very weird. Her name Potpourri no longer really made sense, but whatever. But I always thought she had pink hair, so she was like the most like anime different looking character in the village. So I thought that was cute, and her name was Potpourri. I thought that was very sweet. But she also kind of was the easiest one because she liked flowers, and there was one particular flower one time a year, but you wanted to stock up on it because it would be gone. So every day I would just like hoard those flowers, so throughout the rest of the year I could keep impressing her by giving her these flowers.
Yeah.
Whereas like some of the other people are a little trickier, like the mayor's daughter likes bugs, so you had to like catch bugs and present those to her if you could. Which I don't think you could catch bugs in this PlayStation 1, so I don't know what she likes in the PlayStation 1. And then there's the other daughter who was in the 64 one was the baker's daughter, but she works at the doctor's office in the PlayStation version. So maybe she likes baked goods, maybe she doesn't. I'm not sure. So like all that sort of stuff. Like it was always a fun game of trying to figure out who likes what, which they seems to have carried into most farming sims. But Potpourri has always been my go-to gal. I just like that she owned the flower shop, and even when she was still a chicken farming family, I still like that as well. But now she just really likes eggs instead of flowers.
So yeah, let's talk about what we would want next, like what we're looking forward to, or something we would like to see in these games. I will go last because I have podcast housekeeping at the end here. So
that makes sense.
How about you, Hilary?
Okay, yeah, I'll just give a brief kind of next steps.
Yeah,
for me, I want to play more Sakuna of Rice and Ruin because I really like the rice growing aspect to it, and the's a lot of really fun
intricate
combat there too, and it's really intricate. So I would like to play with that more. And then also, I really like the kind of like witch theme going on in Wildflowers, so I want to try that.
Wildflowers is cool. Yeah, I played that a little bit on Apple Arcade. Although I was always playing like late at night, so I had it muted. But I was really surprised that it's like fully voice acted. Like I don't even really know who the developer is or where they came from, but no, like there's a decent budget for that cute little game.
Very nice.
Learn witchcraft, farm.
I think there's a potion aspect to it too. Like lots of and brooms. You can find brooms.
And brooms. Yeah, I didn't get that far yet.
So I don't know. It looks fun, and it's available beyond Apple Arcade now. So
Yeah, it's on. I know it's on Steam and Switch. I'm guessing other consoles too. So
I want to try it. And I think just what I'd like to see is some more different themes, some more branching out, maybe some more cross genre farming, so that I think that'll inspire maybe greater differentiation with mechanics too. So that'd be neat.
yeah. Okay. How about you, Dom? What are you looking forward to, or what would you like to see?
As far as games go, actually, Coral Island looks pretty interesting. From what I've heard about what you've said, Mike, it definitely looks like a fun game, or it sounds like a fun game. And just a bit of a tangent. One of the games I reviewed recently also had a message about conservation, but I feel that didn't get that message wasn't quite as well translated into the game format per se. So it'd be interesting to see how it works out in this game as well. And in the future, or in other games, I would like to, similar to how like Moonglow, they like naturally expanded upon like the fishing aspect. That's so common in these type of games now. I'd like to see games that also just like really focus in on just one aspect and just branch out, expand upon it in ways that make sense and ways that are hopefully fun and engaging.
I want to save the town with baked goods.
Yeah.
There is a game. I'm not sure if it's really inspired by these, but there is one. I've seen it on Steam a bunch. I think it's still being worked on. Is it Lemon Cake or something?
Lemon Cake. I was just saying, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
So that might be a similar thing, but with the like food aspect.
Maybe.
Well, like Little Dragon's Cafe was kind of that.
Okay.
In a weird way, but just not as probably as polished. I don't know. That was another game that was like really neat idea, but kind of seemed half baked in its execution. But whatever, you can fly a dragon, so that's cool.
True. That can make up for some of it.
Yeah.
Which for anyone who doesn't know, which game was that, by the way, Dom, that you reviewed?
No, it was We Are the Caretakers.
Right.
And the conservation there leaned more towards like poaching and like preserving animal conservation. But the game itself was a little bit too incomplete to really have the audience be able to focus on anything other than, wow, this game is kind of a chore to play.
Oh, I see. So, the message got lost then.
Yeah, the message got lost in there. But Coral Island definitely looks and sounds like a much more complete experience. So
that's a shame, because We Are the Caretakers sounds like it had some interesting premises going on, but if you can't focus on them, that's
yeah. Okay, Greg, you're up.
Am I? Okay, great. There's lots going on out there that is looking fun. I don't know if Witchbrook is like the next big thing from kind of Chucklefish, but I don't know if it's a farming sim per se. But the witches, it's more of a witch sim. I don't think it has the farming aspect to it. It's more just like life sim.
Well,
but that can sort of play into what Dom was saying, like focusing on like one aspect. So like that's kind of taking like the crafting aspect and focusing on that in a sim game.
That's true. Fields of Mystria looks neat. It's an indie game that I've kind of like loosely been following. It's like almost got like the graphical quality of like a Legend of Zelda sort of Earthboundy kind of color palette, but looks like it's going to kind of handle very similar to Stardew Valley, but maybe a bit more of an RPG focus in terms of like the combat and stuff than, but like action RPG rather. So that one's been looking really neat and one I want to check out. It kind of looks like it's trying to throw back to like the Super Nintendo era a bit more too then, and with
those character portraits are very Phantasy Star.
Yeah, right. Very, very, very Phantasy Star. So I'm very curious to check that one out. As far as more advanced go, one I just kind of stumbled across not too long was Fae Farm, I believe.
Oh, Fae Farm looks great.
Right.
Yeah, it looks super neat, and I really would like cool things from that. But it's always sometimes I always worry with like the 3D ones that it's more about the flash than the execution. So I'm cautiously optimistic. Whereas Harvestella, I've been hearing neat things, and I wouldn't mind checking Harvestella out.
Yeah.
Fae
Farm is by I'm blanking on the developer, but their other game is like I think is done pretty well, and I like that Fae Farm has an emphasis on the co-op because again that's really not something a lot of these games are still doing.
Yeah, and that's something I'd like more of for sure. And as far as more pixelated ones too, I've always wanted to go back and try Kinseed. I've seen it around a lot.
Yeah, Kinseed is.
I think it was a Kickstarter one, wasn't it?
I think it was Kickstarter.
Life sim.
A sandbox life sim, but it's also made by former. Oh, geez, what's that studio?
Because it's Pixel Count Studios now, but I don't know who. What were they a part of? Yeah.
Okay. Well, keep talking. I'm gonna look it up because
it's all good. I trust your judgment. But yeah, it just I mean a lot. It just seems like a really nice marriage of a lot of again cool things that stand out in Stardew Valley, but with a heavier fantasy vibe. And a bit more like exploration.
Yeah. So it was two people from Lionhead Studios who worked on Fable.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. I remember that now.
Yeah.
I've been very intrigued by that one and how like the combat kind of looks and such is a bit more RPG-ish and such too. Because that's I think what I wanted to see kind of the next progression because I always loved Rune Factory implementing those aspects, but just the combat, the action combat was so kind of like how Mike have described combat in Dragon Quest Builders. It was just wasn't as precise as you'd like it to be.
Yeah, it's very basic,
too, but yeah. And even with all the different weapons and stuff, like it's just annoying. Like even just like give me a lock on. That's all I ask for. Just let me lock onto it. Like at least be able to like face my enemy because like it's clearly built to farm, but when you're trying to like attack on a grid, it's a little harder, and you want to. It's just not as precise on the angles and stuff. And I found it was really tricky, and that was my biggest detractor when playing Rune Factory Frontier.
You really might like Harvestella then.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love the fact that it's got that. It's got like a different job, so they've kind of let you dive more into the RPG stuff, or like fantasy life kind of vibe, like just like that happy marriage of the two. I always found that too when I was playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. I kept being like, "This is all fun and all, but I really want to farm, and I also just want this to be Legend of Zelda too." So, like, I just kind of like, yeah, I just kind of want all those things kind of brought together in a weird way, but. Speaking to what you were saying, Hilary, like seeing things in different places too. I wouldn't mind one of these set in space. Like there's definitely, I don't know if anyone else has played No Man's Sky. There's a certain amount of like hydroponics and crafting and stuff that you can do in that. And you could make it a farm sim if you really wanted to in some alien world, but it's not the focus, of course. But I wouldn't mind even just as I don't care if it's just a genre, cover, shine, whatever, but it'd be fun to do this in space. Whether you're colonizing a world or doing it on like a ship, because I find a lot of the games that are like this that are usually more heavily on the strategy and like base management, not as the individual trying to like colonize. Like so many of these games are just either fantasy or throwing back to the farm life, the simple life that we know, kind of thing.
Check out One Lonely Outpost.
That was going to be in my list. One Lonely Outpost is farming on another planet.
Wonderful. I'm like, I feel like they had to be. I just haven't looked far enough. So, okay, One Lonely Outpost. Thank you, both of you. I look forward to hearing what you have to say about that, Mike.
Yeah, I don't know actually because I'm looking at it on Steam now, and they have completely redone the graphics since last time. It doesn't look bad. It's a 3D world with 2D characters now, but the entire time I've been watching the development, it was all just really great looking pixel art, and apparently they just scrapped all of that, which is a move. I mean, it still looks fine, but not. Okay, that's interesting. I'm still looking forward to it, but yeah, this is my like real time. What happened to this game? Where
the pixel art?
I got to look into this more. Yeah, that's surprising. I mean, I'm sure the game got to a point where they were like, "Wow, we're drawing a lot of like animation frames and stuff." So that's probably why. But yeah. Maybe. So specific games, I have a lot. I don't want to bore anyone by just doing a huge list. But I've checked out a few recently with the Steam Next Fest going on. I did check out Pixel Shire, which I've been looking forward to for a while. It's really cute. Like it's pixel based like Stardew, but it's more cutesy. it's okay. It's still very early on. I think it has a bit to go on development, so
Oh, that
I'm
looks
still
lovely and
looking
quaint, though.
forward to it. It does. It looks really cute. It actually looks a lot like a game. I don't know why I didn't bring this up before. Called Littlewood.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Littlewood
yeah,
was
that one.
a Kickstarter thing, and I you're laughing. Like,
Mhm.
I was obsessed with that. Like, not for a long time, but like I just like powered through it. It has a really, really satisfying like flow as
Yep.
you like build and like get new things and new trees and stuff. It's not all just farming, but it's farming and building a town, and the characters are fantastic.
Yeah,
They're very
Pixel Shire
cute.
seems really cute.
Yeah, so I was hoping Pixelshire would give me some of that magic of Littlewood, and it didn't yet, but I do recommend Littlewood. One Lonely Outpost looks good. Cornucopia, I never heard about
Oh,
until
yeah, I did catch
this
that
week.
one, yeah.
And it kind of has a PS1 kind of look, like just the way the sprites look and the sort of low polygon count. I've played it like for half an hour, so we'll see how it goes. But Cornucopia looks neat. What else am I looking at? I'm definitely not scrolling through my Steam wish list right now.
There's the one.
Because
No Place Like Home looks really cool. I don't know if that one's come up for you, but again, I'm worried it's another one that's all flash and not
yeah,
substance.
I've vaguely looked at it. It looks like it could
Same.
be good though.
Mm-hmm. Well, I forgot to mention on my list too, The Wandering Village. I'm really interested in checking out, but I'm wondering if that one's more like village sim than it is farming sim.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. What about Dinkum? I keep seeing that one pop up. It's like farming, but Australian.
I've seen that one a little bit. Roots of Pacha is actually another one that's
that one looks
I
fantastic.
played a demo for that one. That one actually was playing really well for a game that apparently is coming out in April. We'll see.
It's like a Stone Age kind of sim one sort of thing.
Yeah,
is
a little bit.
I'm thinking of? Yeah.
So that at least ticks the box of like a different setting than we're used to a little bit. So.
Yes.
I like it.
So I don't know. I think that's all I have right now in terms of like specific games. Oh, Moonshell Island. I'm not sure where that one is. I haven't seen an update on that in a long time.
Oh man, here's a space one that came up. Lightyear Frontier. If you want to farm but in a mech, that seems pretty dope.
Oh yeah.
That just came across. I was like, this is the farming sim for Pete. Leave it.
There's a lot. Yeah.
That seems pretty cool. I mean, yeah, there's so many. Like, there's definitely been a huge, not resurgence, but like influx of everyone trying to get in on the genre now.
Oh yeah. I think one thing. This is something like I don't think it's a major complaint I have with a lot of them, and this includes Stardew. But a friend of mine said something so many years ago, and I can't get it out of my head now. Where she was like, and she loves Stardew as much as me. I mean, we'll talk about like just advanced, like, oh yeah, like look how efficient our farm is. Like we're really, we just are both really into it. And she said something that's like, it doesn't stop either of us from playing, but it's like the relationships in like just about all of these games, the way they work are basically based on gifts. Like you get someone to like you by giving them gifts, and there's some dialogue, but like mostly it's about giving items. And she's like, we haven't figured out like what the solution is. Like how do you reformat? Do you make it based on dialogue and dialogue trees?
But Stardew has you make some dialogue choices, but yeah,
it does, and
it makes you feel awkward while you do it.
I know it's like
it's gonna get pissed off.
It's still a game, so like it's fine. Like the item thing is like just a way to make it a gameplay element. But I would like to see another way of doing it. Like
like not an economy of affection for games.
Yeah, because like if you really think about it literally, like it's like, can you imagine like if you're like Greg, like would you have won your wife over if you just made sure to talk to her a little bit every day and gave her the same thing like at least twice a week, and like, hey, here's that one thing you like that wouldn't get you very far. So
we have a whole room that is dedicated to every tome of Shakespeare's collected works I've given her. It eventually did win her over, but it took about 400 tomes. No, I'm kidding. But yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'd say that's one thing Potion Permit kind of did okay. Like the relationship piece system wasn't completely based on gift giving. It was all about interaction and the events and stuff.
That's true.
And there was a few choices. Like I thought that was nice, but again, the payoff was so disappointing.
Well, it wasn't consistent. There wasn't a progression.
I mean, there was a
In
little
some
bit
cases,
once you got the friendship up high enough, but
yeah. And then once you committed to them, you just all that changed was you get to go on a date, which was just a little cutscene, and it did nothing to further anything. You didn't reveal more of the character or like it. Just that was it. That's all you got. You didn't even get to marry them. You just were committed, apparently. But you could also commit to other people. Like it didn't preclude you from going out and dating others if you wanted.
what does the word commit mean, nice. Game?
Right? Which fine, sure. Do you. That's up to you, I guess. But like it just felt like there was nothing to it after the fact. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, I guess this.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. I think that would be really nice to see that implemented more or find a happy marriage of the two or something.
Right. I'm sure it could be done. I mean, obviously, if it's something like based on dialogue and choices and numbers that are like tracked in the background of like I mean, obviously it's a complicated thing, but I would like it.
It is.
I want to
dynamics. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Hilary.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, have a dynamic system based off of the 5 love languages, and you have to figure out what their love language is. This person likes
That's
you.
funny because I was
gotta come help on their farm.
I was going to make a similar joke and be like, yes, let's get the Gottman happy couple research involved here and say you have to respond positively to their bids for attention in 4 out of 5 instances, and then once you get that ratio. I know that's not the correct ratio off the top of my head. I know you're supposed to respond to bids a lot, but I don't remember exactly how much.
I get what you're going for, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, there's ways to do it, which is really easy for us to talk about because we don't have to program these things. But
no, it's true. But instead of just throwing like egg, no, yeah, no, bug, no, gold. You like gold? Okay, great.
Yep. Rabbit's foot.
No.
Which actually in Stardew is a yes for every single person except one. Yes,
the one person who hates cruelty to animals.
But to be fair, rabbits in Stardew randomly shed their feet and are fine.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Amazing.
Chickens lay eggs. Like every animal gives you some kind of item. Ducks give you feathers. Apparently, rabbits just shed a foot and regrow it.
Usually they give you some sort of like wool type stuff that you can spin, but occasionally they'll drop a foot.
Yep.
One thing I will ask, what's your favorite animal of any game? Because I mean, I did like that they added like Angora rabbits to like the latest Story of Seasons reboot.
Oh no, that's adorable.
Boy. Yeah, you know
it's
what?
in Friends of Mineral Town.
That's one thing I love Stardew. It has, I think, compared to like modern Story of Seasons games, a relatively small selection of animals because they've been going wild with the animal selections you can get in those games now.
I do like the blue chickens though.
Blue chickens are great.
Oh yeah.
I do like.
I mean, I like me a Buffamoo just because of the name.
Buffamoos. Okay, that's good.
From Rune Factory. Yeah.
Aww.
Okay. Yeah. Dom, what do you like? What's your animal go-to?
Animal go-to? I haven't really thought about that too much recently.
I do like that you can keep ducks. That's a slightly rarer one.
Yeah. That is neat, yeah. Because I always go for chickens first in Harvest Moon because they're really accessible and easy to propagate, whereas like cows are a bit more of an investment in time, same with sheep, before you get any payoff. So I kind of leave them to late game. Dom likes fish.
Oh, that's true. I do enjoy fish. And I make sure everyone around me enjoy the fish that I fish.
There you go.
That's what Dom needs. He needs you do have an aquarium in your house in like a future farming sim.
There you go.
Stardew has fish ponds now, though. Which is cool.
And aquariums.
Well, and aquariums, but the fish ponds you actually interact with the fish, and cool. Like they talk for some reason, and they'll be like, "Hey, it'd be really nice if we had a piece of quartz in here," and you're like, "Okay,
Wind Waker,
here you go."
Hoy, Fry, give me quartz.
Yep. So
hilarious.
All right. Well, again, I could really just keep talking about these for a long time, but eventually I have to actually stop talking about them and then go play them. And I'm not just saying that because Steam Next Fest ends tomorrow and I have like 6 more demos to at least try out.
And there's so much time to invest in your farms.
Yeah, right. So thank you so much. Like all of you, like this has been a really fun discussion. Like for the most part, it overlaps with RPGs. Like a lot of these overlap enough, especially when you get into Stardew or Rune Factory, where there is like actual RPG elements in combat,
Yeah.
not just the sim
In
elements.
Harvestella, like it's clearly a thing that some developers are starting to put in more, and maybe we'll have to differentiate a bit more in the site. But
Well, and there's always been the Atelier series,
Oh yeah,
right,
yeah.
which is a little bit of a.
Well, no, it's a sim. That
It's a
goes.
sim.
It's a sim, but it's more like the crafting side of it.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
maybe that's a
Potion
future
craft
retro
stuff.
encounter. You can talk about potion craft, and I can talk about whatever that one was I just played last night about crafting potions.
Alchemic Cutie's coming up too, isn't there? And there's like Little Witch in the Woods looks really cute.
Yeah, yeah. See, there's a ton of those too.
I'll host Potion Encounter.
Potion encounter.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. We'll talk to Solosi about that. That was our farming encounter episode. Coming up next week, unless something changes, I don't think it will. Next week will be Most Wanted Remasters. I know the people who were recording that episode were very excited about it, so I'm looking forward to that. I believe
That's a hard list to list off.
I know. Unless something changed last minute, I believe the main panel on that one is the same panel as like RPG remakes like a few weeks ago. So it'll be interesting to see how everyone responded there and how they approached this topic too.
Yeah, because remake, remaster, very different asks.
Yep. So yeah. So Most Wanted Remasters and Persona 4 is coming up in a little bit as well on Retro Encounter. So if you have feedback on this, if you want to reach out, you want to let us know what you thought, should we do Potion Encounter in the future or other topics, or do you just want Solosi to come back and host instead of me?
Did we make the right life choices in Stardew?
What crops do you like?
Yeah, what are your favorite crops, animals, and potential partners?
Wow.
What?
Big list, laundry list.
Yeah, well, it's all stuff we talked about. It can be whatever they want. They can choose Abigail. They can choose Krobus. So anyway, for any of that, or maybe something more relevant, you can email the show at retro@rpgfan.com. I'm going to promote our shop, which somehow Solosi always does, and I don't always do in Rhythm Encounter, but RPG Fan does have a shop. So if you are interested in some merchandise, so we have t-shirts and mugs and phone cases, and
for parents like me, baby onesies.
We have baby onesies. And I will say, I'm not just saying this because obviously I would love for people to support the site and buy this stuff, but I did get one of the phone cases many months ago, and it's been very nice. It's actually a really well-made phone case, because sometimes you get those ones that are made to order and they don't last that long, or
they disintegrate,
or the prints are cheap. But no, I mean I'm very pleased with it. It's still on my phone. So we are going to. Hopefully when this episode is up, my goal is to have some 25th anniversary merchandise up in the shop as well, since this year is our anniversary year. So
yeah, congrats to RPG Fan. Good job.
So yeah, be on the lookout for that. So you can go to RPG Fan, or if you want to go directly to the shop, you can go to rpgfan.com/shop. I'm not sure what we're doing anymore for contact information, but we'll see what people say for social media. If you would like to reach me specifically, you can reach me. The best way is at mike@rpgfan.com. What's the best way for people to reach you, Dom?
For me, I'm usually hanging around on Discord as DHCanny, and you can message me or just at me in the RPG Fan channel.
Okay. How about you, Greg?
I'm at Greg Delmage most places on the internet, and you can search Greg Delmage and find me in places, but I'm probably the most active these days on Instagram at Greg Delmage.
Wow, do I follow you there? I think I do.
I think so. I think
I do, but
not too long back.
The algorithm doesn't always show you. So I'm like, are you posting there that much? Because I'm not seeing it a lot.
I haven't a lot lately because baby.
Oh yeah,
I've been more involved, and we also decided not to post baby photos online. So it's just most of my photos have been of my baby. So I don't have much to share these days. But I do need to do some more self promotion of shows and things I've been doing and been on and stuff. So go check me out in Firefly Lane. I got the hit on Katherine Heigl, so that was cool.
That is like some of my favorite 3 seconds of television I've seen this year.
Oh my
I
gosh.
appreciate it. The slide in on the bar.
I
so
was just
fun.
like, this character is completely removed from who you are, and it was just so fun to see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Acting.
Yes. How about you, Hilary?
Um,
Not shows you've been in with Katherine Heigl, but how can people reach
yeah,
you?
sadly that number is 0.
Okay.
You were in 21 Dresses?
Surprise. It was me all along.
Were you a background character in Roswell?
Yes, it was an extra.
Girl drinking coffee.
Yep. Nail it.
Yep.
I would nail that role.
You would.
Anyway, I've made it a point to start checking my RPG fan email more often, so I'm going to give that. It's Hilary with 1 L, Hilary at rpgfan.com.
Hilary A.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A, the letter A, not E-H-A.
Not spoken the Canadian way.
Not the Canadian way.
E-H-A?
E-H.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Maybe that should be edited out. That was terrible. All right. So, yes.
We're
you
all
can-
skeptical of your name, Hilary.
Fine. That's how you can reach us. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to check out other podcasts from RPG Fan. We have 2 other ones. We have Random Encounter that posts every other Monday.
I hear that Jono guy's pretty great.
Yeah, Jono is fantastic. So Jono hosts that one and edits it along with editing our other show because he does a lot of work. But yeah, Random Encounter is about, reviews and features and other current goings on in the RPG scene. And every other Monday between that one is Rhythm Encounter. That is my podcast. Not that I host every single one, but whatever. It's my show. I feel I have a sense of ownership.
Thanks for bringing it back.
Yeah. So recently we did an episode about the Xeno series. So there's almost every Xeno game appeared on that episode in at least one form or another.
Oh, that's impressive.
So that was very fun. And our next episode coming up after this one, as long as everything goes according to schedule, will be an episode on the Like a Dragon series music. And I know everyone on that episode is very excited to record that one. So yeah, so check out Random Encounter and Rhythm Encounter. You can find RPG Fan on most social media at RPGFan.com. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on Twitch. Of course, our website is rpgfan.com. So we try to be all over the place. If you enjoyed this, definitely leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. We would appreciate that. It's a good way of supporting the show and, just helping us get out there and reach more people. And if you don't want to do that, well, then share it with your friend or share it with your mom or something. You never know. So
we do bleep swearing, so we're family friendly.
We are family friendly. So I guess this last note about introducing a bonus music track doesn't need to be here. Because I definitely did copy my notes from Rhythm Encounter. So yeah, there we go.
Bonus farming game, go.
Bonus farming game. Littlewood, the one I didn't talk about enough.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hooray.
All right. Well,
Stick
there we
around
go.
for a whole bonus episode right after.
Littlewood Encounter. This was a lot of fun. Happy trails. I don't think I'm allowed to do Solosi's sign off, so I will not. So yes, we are going to go off with happy trails.
Happy trails, folks.